some updates on the SC300. You guys ask about the SC300 all the time. We haven't been working on it, but I told you after the comp car was done, the comp car pretty much done. We have a little bit left to do on it. We'll do that in the middle of everything. In the meantime, we have a non-VVTi bottom end here. This is a NA non-VVTi, so it has better rods. Still has decent compression pistons here. I think we got 10-to-1. We need to convert this oil feed to the VVTi solenoid because we're gonna put a VVTi head on this so that it can go in the SC300, which mine is a VVTi because I have a 2000 SC300. So 98, 99, 2000 were all VVTi. We've already put a turbo oil pump on here and one of the rad billet tensioner brackets for the timing belt. We're gonna put a VVTi reluctor wheel on here and we're gonna just start adding all the parts we need. In the meantime, let's see what else we got going. Looks like the rear main's in there and good. He's kind of cleaning the carbon buildup off this motor because it was just pump gas that ran through it, a decent amount of carbon. We're gonna have to do a bunch of stuff to this and like, I don't know. Got a lot of details, but we're gonna put the head on today. We're gonna show you guys what we're doing. We're gonna use this Powerhouse Racing VVTi oil adapter feed thing for right there because we gotta convert that like I was telling you. We are going to put ATI head studs in here. I wanted to use the lesser aggressive ones, but since COVID, everything's like back ordered. It's hard to get things from many different parts manufacturers, so we're gonna use these good ones, the 625 ones. Kind of overkill for what we're gonna do, but yeah, we got a new head gasket. We're gonna put this together and then show you when we're done, and we'll show you the turbo we're gonna use, the manifold we're gonna use, all that stuff. Head gasket's going on. See that? He didn't even touch it with his finger. Go in the hole! Yeah. We're really picky about not touching it with our hand and prepping the deck on both sides first. Oh, we gotta get the head. Which head is it? NA VVTi? Yeah, that one. We only got one VVTi head, guys. They're really light. Super light. All these heads are really light. Let me move this turbo. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, I didn't know I couldn't have worse timing, guys. This is parts for different customer stuff, but we have this little tiny Borg Warner EFR. It says 6758. That's the part number there. This is extremely small, but what we want to do is create instant boost and spool. It's kind of an experiment. We don't know. I haven't found anyone else that did this exact turbo and had info on it. So let's just say we're hoping it'll make 400. It might choke itself out because it has a smaller rear side. And when I say choke itself out, I just mean it'll run out of, at the top end, it'll have too much back pressure to let the gases out. It'll probably only make 400 horsepower, 430 horsepower, something like that. But I won't even be able to run like 30 pounds of boost. I'll only be able to run 15, 16 pounds of boost, something like that. I think it's an 8.4 rear side. I have to double check that. I ordered this a while back and I don't remember exactly. I'm sorry guys, a lot going on. A lot of numbers. Doesn't say on there, so I'll have to look, but just assume it's like an 8.0 or 8.4 rear. It might say on the side here. JZ usually uses like a 105 rear or a 90 rear, depending if you had like different turbo manufacturers, but with EFR, this is all an experiment, but then we're gonna run that Treadstone exhaust manifold, which we'll show you shortly, and then this guy so we can point it out and under. And then we have a custom intake manifold adapter that we're coming out with, and we're gonna show you guys that. We don't have it here yet, but it'll be soon. I think Mark needs my help because he stopped. I'll talk to you guys later. What's up, guys? It's a different day. Back in here with the GE VVTi head, non-VVTi bottom end. We made some progress. We got this manifold on here. Mark had welded a block off on this Treadstone exhaust manifold because I'm running an internally gated EFR like we showed you guys. We had to put some studs that were trimmed down because it's real close tolerance here, as you can see. Not much room there. We got the EFR on here. It's a 6758, really small little guy, but it's gonna be instant response. Probably it'll run out at the top end because this is a .80 AR back here. It's kind of an experiment. We don't know exactly what will happen yet, but we're excited to find out. So this is not the water pump I'm running. This is a mock-up one because I'm waiting on one from Toyota. We threw that on there. What I wanted to show you guys is kind of the progress we made on some of the plumbing, and because like I'm used to working with a GTE motor where I have the upper water neck here. I kind of have two oil things going on over here to feed the turbo, and I block the back one. Had to do some redesigning of plumbing and rethinking of how I'm going to feed water in and out of the turbo, because although this has water going out of it, I didn't feel like it's gonna work right for what the plan is. Ooh, Jeff Stoneback's calling me. I gotta go. I'll jump back on this and show you guys what I was gonna tell you. Jeff Stoneback, ex-Formula Drift driver, really cool dude, works at Turn 14. We get a lot of our parts from Turn 14. So he's helping figure out some stuff on Gates timing belts, because those have been kind of hard to get lately, and I usually like to keep about 15 of them here because we're always building motors and shipping them to you guys that place orders on the website. Okay, back to the turbo. So what we did, you can like pull water from a couple areas. This is going to be more of a street setup car with AC in it. It's still a race car, but more stuff will be on this car than I normally would have instead of just plain race motor. So what we're going to do is back here, instead of like where I'll take that and feed the turbo water normally, back here it's going to go straight to the heater core. This one will be the return from the heater core. This has been modified and painted because we always do that here. So if you check this out, it's black. It's kind of hard to see. I'm running my finger along it so you can see where it goes. Then it heads into the back of the water pump. What we do here more than not is, I've shown you guys this before, we will weld a -6 AN bung onto there, a steel one. So there's a -6 there, and if you think about it, the water in here returning into the pump and it's pulling it inside the pump and back into the motor. So that is my water return out of the turbo. After the water enters the turbo through this one, it goes through the turbo, helps cool it, and it gets pulled back into the water pump. At the very beginning, when you first start your car and the thermostat is closed, there's no heat in it, the water's just circulating back in this way through this and back into the motor. It'll kind of just be hanging out waiting, like when's its turn to go, but later it'll circulate. Maybe a little bit will go through like the bleeder valve thingy in the thermostat. So on a GE motor, this is typically blocked off because you don't even have the oil cooler, the stock oil cooler, but the block itself has the 3/8 BSP port there. So we yanked out the plug. We took a turbo 3/8 BSP tube that would normally go to a rubber hose on factory. We cut it down, welded a -6 bung on that, and now we're gonna have water heading out, wrap around the side of the block, and we routed it all clean. We use a little extra hose, but see how it kind of follows this way, and it feeds the turbo. And then we did some nice dual zip tie to like kind of hold it hovering away, as you can see, from the turbo drain. Normally, you wouldn't have so much exposed, or I wouldn't, at race cars we build here at the shop like this, because we'd normally be using a tubular manifold that kind of hangs down real low and puts off a bunch of heat. In this circumstance, we're using, still going to put off heat, but it's just a cast manifold, not going to create as much heat individual runners as a tubular would. Let's take a look at a tubular. See how low that guy hangs? So you gotta get real creative and careful and cautious with turbo drains on setups such as like the big tubular manifolds. This one is just kind of like a straight shot, super easy. And we've put some nice fittings. We got these from Drift Motion. These little billet fittings for the drain and for the other part of the drain. And then we used our nice XRP crimp lines that we'll build here. And I use stainless so it can handle more heat instead of the black monofilament. Then we use this wastegate actuator that'll control the internal gate in here. So this is a IWG-75 from TurboSmart. We've used this on other customer cars that did internally gated twins. Works really well for control. It has dual ports, so it controls normal off of boost solenoid. So we have one vacuum line down here, control the back, and then one to control the top, so that we can open and close the actuator to control the wastegate, so we can really monitor our boost and set it where we want and have multiple boost settings. And then we use this compact dual port, so it plums half of it back, half of it will exit out and make a little bit of noise. Sounds nice, but it just bolts right into the EFR. That's also a TurboSmart part. And the other cool part about this EFR is this cover that we got. Let me actually grab the other cover so you see like what we would have been working with here. Normally an EFR will just have a normal cover like all turbos do, but then they have this special one here that rotates the tight 90 built into the compressor cover, because we're limited on space here. You're gonna have an alternator here. You already have all your belts. The strut tower is literally gonna hit that fitting. It is so close. It's literally gonna hit that fitting almost. Let's hope it doesn't. We measured, we have like 10.5 inches from this surface here to there. We're gonna hardly fit in the car with this manifold and this turbo, unfortunately, because on a SC300 and a Supra, the strut towers kind of point in towards each other and they kind of use up the space and the width of the bay that you would have. This is gonna really help us out, and we'll just kind of come here and then go down there next to the frame rail right there. I swapped this around, but we'll probably get the like turn down one so it can head straight down below the alternator. We're really excited to try this out for the first time. I've never done a GE. I have another part that's coming out that'll go on this, and I'll show you guys when that part is available. But for now, we're prepping the motor. We still have obviously all the front timing, but I'm waiting on the water pump, then we'll do the front timing, finish the cam gears and whatnot. I got these cleaned up over at Mason at Engine Supply. Did some sandblasting, media blasting for us. I think he used baking soda on this. I still got to run these through hot water a lot to make sure there's nothing inside that's going to fall into the motor. He also cleaned up our intake manifold, the lower part, and he cleaned up our upper water neck. So we're going to try and make this, even though everything was used, we're going to clean it up real nice and make it as good as we can. And then we are going to run an external oil cooler, and you see I had this set up, so I might run a sensor in that, or I might run my oil feed from that 1/8 MPT. I could put a union to a -4 line that could come over here. I haven't figured out how I'll do the oil feed yet, because I'm also going to run a filter relocation block that'll look similar to this one here. You can see there's also a spot right there, either for a sensor for pressure, temperature, whatever you want to do, or oil feed. So then I can maybe run it out. This, I just haven't decided yet how I'll do it. I'm gonna have full AC and full everything on this one. We're just gonna replace the motor that's in the SC with this one, then pull the SC motor out, pull the trans out, pull the diff out, kind of run through the drive line and upgrade it. We're gonna put a Pro EFI in it and kind of just make that like a super reliable, low horsepower, but still more horsepower than I had, but maybe like 350-ish. I don't know what it'll make yet, because I have never done this combination. I'm really excited to see when it spools and how quickly. It's gonna be really strong low end. It's gonna be super fun to drive. Renee and I are excited. Okay, so that's an update on the engine for the SC300. You guys have been waiting for me to talk about it and do it. I've just been busy. More updates coming soon.